Teaching children to play the piano is not just about pressing the right keys at the right time. It's about helping them love music, feel comfortable at the instrument, and move with rhythm. Every child is different, so we need a way of starting that respects the body and keeps their curiosity alive. I realized there was one big difference between the method books I used in Ukraine and the American method books. Most of traditional American method books asked beginners to start with a fixed 5-finger position. The thumb is placed on one key, and each finger rests on the next key. The child keeps the hand there and plays by moving individual fingers and following finger numbers. Many teachers remind their students again and again to curve their fingers and to relax their hand, but the hand still looks tense and twisted. Over time, this becomes frustrating for both the teacher and the student. I had this experience myself when I moved from Ukraine to the United States. Suddenly, I was seeing technical problems I had not faced so often before, and I wanted to understand why. In theory, this seems very logical. Children could play a simple tune right away, and that felt satisfying. But after a few months, I saw the same technical picture in almost every student. The fingers were stretched and tense. The thumbs were lying flat on the keys. Second fingers were lifting and striking from above with force. Little fingers were stretched and weak. And the wrist had a strange twist towards the center of the keyboard. When a child plays week after week with the wrist rotated in and the hand locked in a stretched position, the small muscles and tendons are constantly under uneven pressure. Over time, this can lead to pain, fatigue, and even early signs of tendinitis. Stretching and tension in the wrists will eventually cause tendinitis or other injuries. Piano playing is extremely repetitive. 16th notes at metronome 120 adds up to 28,000 movements per hour. In other words, what begins as a harmless way to organize the hand can become a source of real physical strain. Our youngest students may not have the words to describe the discomfort, but their bodies feel it, and their tension often shows up in their sound and in their attitude to practice. In this situation, our usual instructions often do not help. When the hand is already in a stretched position, telling a child to curve your fingers can actually make things worse. They squeeze, they press harder, and they become more tense. It is not that the child refuses to listen, it's that the starting position itself is working against them. To find a better way, it helps to look at how the hand naturally works. If you gently hold a pencil, you do not think about curving the fingers. The 4 fingers are on one side, the thumb is on another side, and together they form a soft arch. The thumb moves differently from other fingers and allows us to grasp and control objects. This shape is comfortable and flexible. It can change at any moment without strain. This is the kind of hand position we want at the piano. A neutral, natural arch that comes from function, not from forcing a shape. When we bring this hand to the keyboard and let it rest, the hand can stay relaxed. We don't want to keep them open like that, because when they're open like that, we can't really hold anything. right? We want to close, and then we create a beautiful, beautiful arch like that. See? Can you try to hold and see your hand? Oh my goodness, that's a beautiful arch. The idea is very close to the Eastern European approach in which I was trained. In the books I used as a child, beginners didn't start with all 5 fingers on 5 keys. They started by playing with finger number 3 only. All the notes in the first pieces were played with this one finger, which is placed conveniently in the middle of the hand and at the end of the arm. Because the hand is not trying to cover many keys at once, it can keep its natural shape without extra effort. There is another important advantage. With this approach, children learn to read notes, not just finger numbers. When they know they are playing with finger number 3 only, their main focus is on pitch and sound, not on reading numbers. This supports musical reading from the very beginning. After a few lessons with finger 3, we slowly add the other long fingers, number 2 and number 4. We still avoid locking the hand into a fixed 5-finger pattern. Later, we introduce finger 5, and only when the hand is more coordinated and comfortable, we bring in the thumb. Usually, after 6 to 8 lessons, a student can use all 5 fingers. But by then, something very important has happened. The basic elements of healthy technique are already there. A neutral hand, use of the arm weight, considering that correct posture is already established, and a simple, clear way of lowering the key. At this first stage, it's important to use a non-legato articulation. By this, I do not mean a dry or mechanical sound. I mean a touch where the child drops into the key with a little weight, listens to the tone, and then releases before the next note. This teaches them to coordinate the hand, wrist, and arm, and to feel both the attack and the release. Later, legato and staccato grow out of this naturally. Almost everything in their technique can be built on this simple foundation. What does this mean in practice for us as teachers? If you often see flat fingers, collapsed fifth fingers, stiff thumbs, and twisted wrists, it may help to look not only at your verbal instructions, but also at how you are starting your students physically. Instead of trying to fix the 5-finger position for months, you can try a small experiment. For a few weeks, let a beginner or even a transfer student play simple patterns and pieces using only finger number 3 with a natural hand. Add other fingers gradually without forcing each one into its own key. Watch what happens to the shape of the hand. Listen to the sound. Notice how the thumb and wrist behave when they are not being held in an artificial, fixed position. Many teachers who try this are surprised by how quickly the hand begins to look more beautiful and how much less they need to nag about curving and relaxing. The student often feels more secure and more musical because their body is no longer fighting the instrument. Our goal is to help children develop a technique that grows from their own anatomy and from their musical imagination. I encourage you to think of one or two students who are always tense and whose hands you are constantly adjusting. Try this different beginning with them. Allow the hand to be natural and alive, even if it looks less organized at first. Then observe how their hand, their sound, and even their confidence begins to change over time.
If you're interested in this approach and would like to try it with your students, please explore my curriculum Tales of a Musical Journey. It carefully introduces hand position and technical elements step by step, always through engaging musical stories and imaginative activities. And if you would like to explore the underlying pedagogy in greater depth, I invite you to join my pedagogy course at the Gorin Institute, where we study how to build a natural technique and expressive playing from the very first lessons.